we've just had a bit of a malfunction there, but fortunately, we because of our high tech usage,
Have you not deleted the other ones off there?
Yeah, I have actually. No, it's just full of Bianca's stuff.
Oh, right. Spewing. That's the first time that's happened.
That's all right.
Anyway,
it's all right.
moving forward,
we're good to go.
We shall
soldier on.
Man, it would be, look, it's always changing. Like, I guess you could say I also follow like a IIFYM. I really hate like diet names because they just attach more, most people attach more emotional value to it than actually listening to their body's intuition.
Yeah.
So
and then they become a team. Like they're on the
exactly.
team.
Yeah. Or they're like
or the Atkins team. Or
or the keto team or the high carb team or whatever.
Back to what you eat.
So I probably usually maybe like a few little pork medallions, maybe a bit of tuna, some smoked salmon, a couple of usually it's maybe like 4 whole eggs, 4 egg whites. More often than not, there'd usually be some combination of cheese and chocolate.
Okay. So that sounds like it's quite high fat.
Yeah, so that's the other thing is I follow more of a, again, I'm wary of saying this, but more of a keto style diet. And that's not because of any, emotional attachment that I have to it, other than the fact that I just function better off of it.
Okay.
The best thing I've found about it, man, is mental health. And the keto diet was actually originally invented for kids with epilepsy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I've come to learn for myself where I've actually tested this like repeatedly over maybe like 2, 3, 4 week periods where I go through a really high carb phase, very low fat, and I still fast. And then I do, really, really like no carbs or no effective carbs. I still eat like 2 to 3 kilos of vegetables a day. But
so in that list of food you were just listing, you stopped at cheese and chocolate, but there's also
there's a massive amount of vegetables, right? But I
these
don't
are greens, like not sort of so not potatoes and stuff.
There's no starch, right? It's all just like I usually have like a massive salad, maybe a kilo of salad, which if you think about it, it's a fucking big salad.
It's a big salad.
Yeah, it's a massive salad. And then there's probably about 1 kilo to 2 kilos of like beans, broccolini, onion, mushrooms, like heaps of herbs and spices.
Is the salad drenched in dressing?
Yeah, but I make my own dressings, and it's basically just olive oil, balsamic vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and some spices and stuff. But I don't count that stuff because, man, to be honest, if you're concerned about counting calories from vegetables, you're not training hard enough. Like, it's that simple, right? Because most of it's insoluble fiber, and most of it's going to get shut out.
Yeah.
And, like, man, like, in a kilo of iceberg lettuce, there's like 100 calories.
Yeah.
So it's mostly water. So it's like, why are you going to be so concerned about weighing, every little part of it?
Having said, do you have, so for that window, do you have a ballpark? I know you're not counting calories.
No, I count my calories
okay.
religiously.
All right. So what would you be consuming?
On average, I consume about 2,000 calories a day, which for someone my size is bare minimum.
That's not much at all.
At all.
But because you're eating them in that one go, it's quite satisfying.
Mate, it's satisfying.
Is it hard to get through towards the end?
It is a bit. There's ways around it.
Do you eat all the meat first and then follow with the veggies, or is it all mixed up as it goes?
He likes to eat the meat.
I'm always a meat
so that's
man.
Better. That's better. That's
more
subtle.
Well done. Have you got veins on your cock? He likes to eat the meat first. That's more.
Done well.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Yeah.
Had me worried then for a minute.
It's can we send the fan on?
No, man, it's too much noise in
hot in here.
That's all steamed up.
No, because it makes so much noise and will ruin the
quality of this studio.
No, can't.
I just
sweat it out,
I just get really hot and bothered between two guys. It's just,
You need to relax.
Just relax,
right?
bro.
Just close your eyes.
You got any ammo?
I'm just gonna get some.
Oh my god, ammo. Remember the days
shit.
of ammo on the dance floor?
When I was 21.
Have you got any ammo on the dance floor?
Is that a song?
Is that a song?
When I was 21,
We
had this girl I was seeing who was super hot called Michelle. She
She liked to take ammo and you do her up the bum. Is that
well,
right?
no,
Michelle
well, no, Michelle Seaton. I shouldn't say her name.
Oh,
A long time ago.
bleep that out.
1989. I just moved to Sydney, super hot girl. And but we were both broke and we wanted to party and we went to the nightclub and all we could afford was we got $10 And so we went to a sex shop and bought a bottle of ammo and spent the entire
At a
night.
sex shop.
You can buy it from
Where do
sex
you
shops.
Really?
Still get it from sex
What?
shops.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I've never needed the use for it, so.
So okay, apparently you can get them at sex shops. And
Okay, good to know.
so we spent the
Might
whole
need that
night
for
just
tomorrow night.
dancing and yeah, you might. And man, those little headaches we had. Headaches, yeah. If you're going to, don't mix it with Viagra though, right? You know that.
What about Cialis?
Don't do it, bro. Not with amyl.
Why
Okay.
not?
We're both vasodilators.
Ooh.
You can have an embolism, or no, not an embolism.
What about before training?
Cialis?
Or any of it
I think all of it.
at once?
All of it at once.
Standard Steve
As
protocol.
a suppository. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Is that just me?
I like taking the meat axe approach. You know, it's better to take it than not.
That was his approach.
It
wasn't
really was,
God, love
man.
him.
Yeah.
Shout out to Medax.
Love him.
Love you, bro.
Love you, bro.
But fuck, he was. I remember he used to tell Jill. You'd know this. Like, he used to tell his wife at the time. He would train at like 9, but he'd just fuck around for like an hour, right? She wasn't allowed to ring him between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. because that was training time. It's like over half the day.
5 hours.
Yeah, he would get to the gym about 9 and he just chat, fuck
Yeah.
around, and then start training about 10. He's one of those people that would train with the intensity of Yates, but with the volume of Jay Cutler.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
he
he
just
really
destroyed
would.
both of us.
Yeah,
Didn't he?
yeah.
I hated training after
Oh,
that.
fuck.
It was never ending.
I remember one day specifically when I think it was before I enrolled myself for that week of hell with you guys, where you were training with him and he was just sitting there. You were training shoulders. I remember this vividly.
Yeah.
And you'd done your set, and typical Steve fashion, like to failure, and then just dropped it and walked off real staunch.
We're angry.
And Medax is there and he's going, "The fuck are you doing? Fucking do another one." And you're like, "Fuck!" and walk back there and just like kept going. I remember
It
that
was
well.
just got to a point of diminishing returns. Though.
Yeah.
For me, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't sustain the volume and the intensity. I was happy with the intensity, but not when it was like
That's gonna look real sus on camera.
No, it's underneath.
and training like five days a week.
You do
day.
6 sessions a day
Yeah.
because Monday was double day. You do chest in the morning and arms in the arvo.
Fucking-
I remember the.
I
Medax,
just don't like training that much.
Yeah, no, neither.
You know,
Well, everyone's nervous system's wired differently, as is everyone's protocol.
but I remember that was the year you got really fat.
Oh,
And you did the 3-hour cardios.
oh, bro.
So
Stuff of nightmares.
after doing that first competition, back to your training, but after doing
Yes.
that first competition when you're 19, or not the first comp, was that your first comp?
Yeah.
When we
yeah, it
first
was.
met you,
Mm.
or
Yeah.
knew,
Yeah.
Yep.
sometime after that you started training with, or actually you and Medax invited you to
Yeah.
join them because
Yeah.
they saw how hard
Well,
you trained,
at
right?
about 4 weeks out from my first
That's
show,
right,
they
yeah.
invited me and I trained with them for a week.
Yeah.
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 And then they were like,
After
"Yeah,
the
come
show.
come back and see us." You know,
Yeah.
after your next
yeah,
off season.
Correct. Yeah.
And in that off season, you put on about 30 kilos.
Bro,
was it?
40
That's what,
kilos,
40 kilos.
40 kilos, but I put on 15 kilos in the first 2 days.
That's great.
I'm
How
not
big,
even
how
kidding
big
you,
were your
bro.
ankles?
I couldn't wear shoes.
Yeah.
It's not good, man.
No, it's not.
But again, like, man, modesty. That's the thing. Like, you diet so hard. Like,
Was it
the
2
second
days
you get any,
after competing?
Yeah.
The first 2 days after.
yeah, obviously not
So
all of it's
dangerous.
fat,
So
but
dangerous.
it's really
my-
dangerous.
My
really.
first competition, I put on 11 kilos in the first 4 days afterwards,
Yeah.
or 5 days, and I
Pussy.
thought that was insane amount, right?
Yeah.
But 15 in
Oh,
2
yeah,
days,
yeah, I would have done so.
that is mental.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and the swelling.
And
The
you guys
attention.
compete both
The
compete
edema.
naturally. When
Yeah.
you throw in like prescription level diuretics
Yeah.
and all the other stuff, so dangerous.
Real dangerous.
Really dangerous.
Yeah.
But so Medax, so you started training and we both subscribed to that, just bulking.
Yeah, man.
Permabulk.
Yeah.
Hashtag permabulk.
yeah. Frog tech, cell
Yeah,
tech,
and,
and
you know-
bulking forever. Yeah, look,
And it worked for him though, man. The good dude was huge.
Man, he was, yeah. I don't want to say too much because I don't. Yeah.
I think,
how
but-
Medax would-
Oh, he's no, he's but like
it's a personal
it
thing,
worked. It worked for him.
It did,
But I think
yeah.
like I
How good is his art, by the way? Just
Oh,
yeah,
shout out,
fuck,
yeah,
yeah,
man. insane.
What's
Check
it
out
called?
Medax Clap
Medax-
Design.
Medax Clap.
Medax Clap
Yeah,
Design.
amazing.
That's
You
a-
guys will be familiar with it.
Isn't it cool how, because you know, like he finished the bodybuilding thing, and and he had this fine arts degree, and he liked graffiti, and once he realized that he, you know, wanted to, you know,
Put them all together.
be healthy and
Yes.
not do the competition thing anymore. He had a family and everything, and he just immersed himself in that. And now, dude, like he's just
found his calling.
He has found his calling.
He flies all over the
amazing.
world.
Flies all over the
man.
world, and he
Gets
knows
commissioned.
everyone in the industry.
Yeah.
It's
Doing
very cool.
murals. If you see in gyms where there's
Photo
a massive,
Yeah.
massive.
Of Ronnie Coleman, Larissa Reyes, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
Phil Heath, Kai Green, like
that's
all big names.
That's all Medax.
Yes.
Yeah, it's phenomenal
It
stuff.
is. It's great.
Truly
it's really
phenomenal.
nice. So I'm really
it's
happy
great.
for him.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Cool.
insanely good.
Yeah.
How much
Yeah.
that detail is
Yeah.
just.
Yeah.
And he,
But the cool
With
thing,
spray cans.
oh, spray
yeah,
cans.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
cherry picker.
Yeah.
The cool thing though is that he's, you know, again, he's
Doing
in
what he
line with
loves.
his calling. Yeah,
Yes, he has,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Getting,
Yeah.
And probably making a killing. from
Probably.
it.
I'd say so.
Probably.
Yeah. Anyway,
Did you see the Tupac and Biggie ones he did on like a garage door?
Yeah.
That
He's
was
done some
good
amazing
too.
ones.
Yeah.
mate, the level of detail is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's very cool. In fact, when I see him, other sort of graffiti art now and paint and murals, and
Compare it to
and
this.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
And I go,
Not as good.
oh, this is,
Not as
especially
good.
if they're in gyms.
Yes.
And they're like this dodgy picture of Arnie or something. It's
Yeah,
like, dude,
yeah.
you need.
And it's something's distorted on it. It's not
it's
right.
just-
you know?
just-
That's right.
yeah.
They've got his jaw wrong or his
Yeah,
abs
yeah.
wrong or something,
Yeah,
and you go, oh.
I think because he's got that bodybuilder mind, he's
Yeah, it's-
very, you know,
yeah.
has to
Yeah.
look at the detail, very OCD about the, you know, the finer aspects
Yeah.
of it, which
I ima-
serves him
yes.
amazingly
I
well.
imagine he's
Pedantic.
The same
Yeah.
OCD he put into his training and
Yeah.
his supplements and his
Yeah.
regimes. He's now putting into this.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very cool.
Which is one of the beauties of bodybuilding. You know, not for everybody does that level of commitment and, you know, OCD transfer to other areas of life. But
Yeah.
if you can become self-aware enough to be able to take
Channel
those
it,
skills and channel it,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really that's when bodybuilding becomes more about building the body and the person, not just the superficial side of it, which a lot of it is nowadays, thanks to, you know, social media.
Yeah.
People just thinking that they need to be, you know, look a certain way to attract a certain thing. You know, it can be very superficial, but really,
for sure.
like, man, it's like life-changing shit if you.
It can be. It's hard for the people who have that quality, which I think we all have to some degree. It's very easy to immerse yourself into so much that you have no life outside of that, and we all know people that.
Oh, it's very enveloping. Yeah.
And I guess at some stage you either have to accept that you need other things in your life,
Yeah.
or not, and just I don't know, life is short. You want
Absolutely.
to have a lot of things going.
Yeah, man. That's something that became blatantly evident to me earlier this year when I lost a good friend.
Did you really?
Yeah,
I
very
didn't know that.
very close friend, and all of a sudden just had a heart attack in the middle of the night.
Damn.
And
How old?
he wasn't that old, eh? He was like maybe I think he's like 54,
Right.
like pretty young. Yeah.
Was he fit?
No, he wasn't fit, and he had a lot of external stress in his life. You know, he drank and he smoked, and you know, smoked a lot of weed as well. And but man, like despite all the shit cards life had dealt him, he'd always rock up at our place, bottle of red in hand, big joint in the other, and just. He'd always have something positive to say.
Okay.
Even if it was the people who were, you know, publicly vilifying him or doing something bad to him, he'd always make the effort to find the silver lining and to find something positive. And I kind of try to take the Viking approach to death nowadays, you know, to find solace in it, and that it's not the end. And that in his passing, it's almost like it was like the most intense sacrifice anyone could make, because from that it solidified his life philosophy into my mind. You know, because it was a character trait that I'd always admired, like his ability to always find that silver lining. And you know, in today's world, it's like a hashtag now. It's like you know, think positive, and you know, always be positive and shit.
Become a marketing slogan.
Yeah, correct. And now, but like, it's one thing to actually say it, and it's quite another to fully embody
live
it.
it.
Yeah.
To live it.
So him passing away, like, imprinted that in my brain, hey, and I just found such an insanely deep sense of gratitude for it, because I was like, man, this guy gave his life up so that I could benefit from his life philosophy, you know.
So did you see that as sort of a cathartic moment for what changed in your life? Like, did you say to yourself, well, life is short, so now I need to...
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, and it made me made me take a lot more pride and ownership in my values, you know, in terms of like what it is that I want to be doing in my life, which is basically just training, traveling, and eating the world.
I've seen you over the years, because as I said, I've known you for 10 years, and I've seen you where you've you sort of had these mentors in your life, and sort of got to a point where you've got disappointed with, like, you've invested really heavily in a certain mentor, and then got disappointed and quite like sort of dejected about it, because it's like, no, actually this isn't the answer. It seems like now you're more just trusting yourself and your own instincts, more than you have since I've known you. Would you agree?
Absolutely, yeah. Look, it's the ultimate irony of,
maybe that's about just growing up a little bit or something, but I don't know, man.
Definitely,
like,
no. It's the ultimate irony of like taking an adventure down the sort of personal development pathway. You know, like going to Tony Robbins seminars and listening to the podcasts and stuff. It's like, because again, like I don't do well with moderation, so I'm either like all by myself and you know all in on myself, or if I'm subscribing to a like, current paradigm, it's like, no, well, Tony Robbins said this, you know, so. Yeah, so like this whole year I kind of stepped back from that,
right,
and just sort of took the time to get back to myself and know who I am. And yeah, it's funny because at the beginning you're like, I didn't need any of this shit. Like, this is what fucked me up for the last 6-8 years. I should have just kept with myself, you know. But at the same time, it's like, well, I wouldn't have the level of wisdom and maturity that I do now had I not have gone down those rabbit holes, you know.
Yeah, sure.
So man, it's all part of life, you know. It's all you go down rabbit holes everywhere, and some of them are fruitful, some of them aren't.
Some of them have rabbits.
Yeah.
Do you do you still like the ganja?
Not really, man. Hey, yeah, like I'm partial to. I think now that I've turned single as well.
How long ago was that? That was quite recent, right?
I think it's about 2 months now. Yeah, 2 months after a 10-year relationship. So
shout out to all the ladies.
Yeah.
This guy's that's the
he's an eater.
I got my slut strand. Yeah,
slut strand.
Yeah, so that talent is not limited to food, by the way.
we had a discussion with Barsha about hashtag slut phase.
Oh yeah.
So is this going to be your slut phase?
Phase.
Yeah,
phase.
but
this is a slut phase.
But remember, I mean, like, you know, as keeping with the whole sort of per philosophy, it's high-end slut phase. So
what does that mean?
I don't know.
You're talking about quality control.
Yes.
It's not objective.
He's a man of quality.
Yeah, he is.
And everything he does.
Look, I like to think of it as like, I don't know, it's like
how was that party the other night?
Tomorrow
night.
Tomorrow night. Shit, okay.
All right. We'll do another podcast for that.
All right.
God, that's going to be a messy one. Yeah.
Do you drink?
He does.
Yeah, I have been doing it too much lately.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Again, it's like...
Do you put that in your thing, in your macros? Like in your...
No,
you just get
man.
shit-faced?
Again, it's like I with the whole macro counting thing, like I have a ballpark, and like I now know, because I'm very in tune with my body now, like I now know sort of how far... Yeah, how far... Exactly. And I think that's the ultimate like level of, you know, mastery of your body. It's like, you know what you can get away with, how to rectify it, how to...
manage it, and
how to not let it have such an impact
on something. If you're going to go out drinking, do you have a little bit less food?
Yeah, generally speaking. Yeah, I would also eat a lot more like vegetables either side of the day. Take some green supplements.
Right.
Apple cider vinegar,
Speaking
like stuff to help with liver.
Going back to green supplements, how come you gave up the other green?
Not the.
Man, I just
different drugs. Sorry.
I just look. I've had a history of depression, like some pretty serious, like, you know, deep stuff, like suicidal thoughts and tendencies. Tried to take my life twice.
Did you really?
Yeah, pretty shitty attempts, obviously.
I didn't know that, man.
Yeah. Well, man, I think it's pretty common nowadays. You know, like.
How long ago?
I think the first time was when I was about 18. The second time was not too long after.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Did bodybuilding save you in that respect a little bit?
Yeah, man, I would say so, because I think a lot of that stemmed from my early abuse of smoking weed.
Yeah.
Like I started a lot younger than most people, like the age of 13, when I moved over to Fiji, and
Yeah,
that again it
that
was
is young.
just sorry.
That is young, yeah.
Again, but it was just my way of trying to fit in because I didn't really have a group. You know, where I was living, there was no extracurricular activities, no after-school sport,
Yeah.
no chess club or anything. Oh, I think there was a chess club, but I'm not hanging out with those friends.
Damn, that's cold.
Yeah.
we don't use that word.
Okay, my bad. Just bleep it out. Yeah, so I like to fit in. You know, to find my little tribe. I would literally hang out with the local villagers. You know, which were very tribal, and they would just smoke ganja and drink kava and drink alcohol, and
Right.
I'd hang out with them. And these guys are like 30, 40 years
Right.
old.
Yeah.
Got my first tattoo when I was 13.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
You know,
Which one's that?
it's the one on my back.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess you know I had a bit of accelerated aging, but I think a lot of that.
Accelerated aging.
Yeah.
That's a good phrase.
But I've lost friends that have been heavy
So have I.
dope smokers
Yeah.
and who've had crippling social anxiety
Mm-hmm.
combined with like a lot of even bipolar sort of issues.
Yes. Yeah.
And started smoking very young.
Mm-hmm.
And it's some people can do it.
I think,
But I think the age
it's the starting young.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
the fact that your brain's still developing. If you're not
Absolutely.
starting to in your 20s, I think it's possibly a much different outcome.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When you've built those social cues that you can use.
Yeah.
And
Not to
interact
mention
with
not to
people.
mention the different strains. You know, I mean the stuff that I was, and I think it's probably one of the reasons why I haven't like descended too far is because the stuff we got in Fiji literally just grew in the bush.
Yes.
You know, it's like proper natural organic weed.
And that's probably way better than the shit.
I think so.
Hey, I agree.
I think
agree.
it's the same with your food. You know, it's like if you can get as close to the natural organic source as possible, well, it's going to be better for you.
Yeah.
Not that organic weed's going to be better for you. Well, it depends on your.
Well,
perspective.
how do you view it now? Do you think it's
Well, man, for me,
yeah?
you mean?
Well, as far as health goes, mental health and physical health,
Man,
because
Look,
it's getting legalized everywhere.
yeah,
right?
yeah, correct. So, to be honest, I've just not really. I've kind of tuned out from it.
Right,
So,
okay.
but like I know people, like very influential people, especially in my life, like Dorian Yates. He's
Yeah.
such a icon for me.
Yeah.
I know he's big on it. And man, I
Yes.
actually saw on Instagram the other day. Did you see this? He's actually doing ayahuasca.
Yeah, he's into it.
Like no, but he's doing
He's a
ayahuasca
shaman.
camps.
He's actually
Yeah, like he's taking people away on.
Yeah, that's
I'm like,
mad.
how the fuck do I get onto this? Because that's one drug that I really like to do. I really like my psychedelics. I don't do them all the time, but yeah. But man, for me now, like smoking weed, like I enjoy doing all those sorts of things. But whereas before, like I would literally smoke, like wake up in the morning and bunch a few
Bongs for
cones,
breakfast.
yeah, or smoke on the back of the school bus,
Fuck.
and on the way back from school. There was actually a phase there where it was good, where I'd do a few lines of coke before training, which
When was
like,
this?
Oh, this is actually when Claire and I split up the first time. So I do a few lines, and I did it like just towards the end of high school as well. You do a few lines of coke, go
know
and
this.
smash a session like
Did you know
something
this?
something stupid, and then straight afterwards you go and smoke a few cones and go to the
Oh,
buffet.
Jesus.
Fuck, bro! Like talk about living the dream.
Didn't you feel like I know people that have done the same thing.
Yeah, oh, man.
I've done it once.
Unreal.
Did you? Serious?
I think I'm
feel like
renouncing
you're
my
gonna-
natural
Didn't-
status
didn't
here.
You, didn't you feel like you're gonna have a heart attack after the first set?
No,
Yeah, but dude, you know, man,
you know how you have you can have caffeine before you train. It's that amped up, man. You
Oh,
are
for sure.
Yes
fucking
and no.
in the
Yeah,
zone.
yeah. I know you're a big fan of doing a few beforehand.
I used to.
No,
I
I'm talking about yayo though, not
Yeah.
pot. I'm talking about
No, I know
couple
you're
lines of
talking about-
coke.
Yeah, I
before
know. Yeah,
Doing both.
Jesus Christ.
I tried that once.
Man, how can you say that? Like you and me, fucking always pay the shit out of the machines that say if you feel faint or dizzy, stop at any time. You're like, isn't that the point of exercise?
I'm not saying that I haven't done it.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
just
saying
saying it's
exogenously
just-
induced.
I'm just saying it's no. I'm just saying like I think back. I know because I'm older now. I just think, man, you're really pushing the envelope there health wise. Then it's coming from someone who used to snort clenbuterol.
Yeah. Oh man, look, fuck.
Oh, come on. When you're
YOLO.
young, when
YOLO.
you're
Yeah,
young and
yeah, I
dumb.
get it, I get it.
Exactly. When you're young and dumb, you take everything that
Yeah,
people
man.
offer.
Yeah.
But not only that, man. Like
Wow.
I think.
Don't you, Steve? I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
Look, man.
I
like
think that was supposed to be some sort of sexual innuendo.
yeah, I know. I'm kind of immune to it now. I'm just like, yeah. Okay.
Speaking of that, we should just touch on Jordo's experience with working under you at the food prepping place.
That's right. So for a few months, what was it, 6 months?
How long
4
did you work
months?
under him for?
Hang on, we're talking like actual work? Or?
Yeah, working for Fresh Food.
Well,
Yes.
I don't know how he earned his money.
Fair while.
It's a few months at least.
Right.
6 months
Yeah.
maybe? 4 months? I don't know. Can't remember.
Good times.
It was good times.
Yeah.
So my Fit Fresh Food
Hashtag
business
plug-in.
was
Yes.
was rapidly increasing in my in how busy I was getting, and I had to hire staff, and I hired a couple of little Vietnamese students to help out in the kitchen hand, and then
You look quite Anglo-Saxon to me.
he does. You know, he's half Vietnamese.
Oh, okay.
It's like on his mother's side, once removed.
Once removed.
So, but then, or did I hire you before them?
No.
Yeah, so
About the same
then
time.
I needed more help.
Yes.
Right? So then at one point I had about 4 people
You
working
had
for
Nick
me.
Hockey as well, didn't you?
Yeah, and Jordan
And lap.
Jordan needed some work, right?
Right,
And
2
so
laps.
I think you might have even offered to, if I need anyone to help out,
Yeah.
he's available. And I said,
Right.
well, I only have 2 days a week, and he's like, yeah, that's cool. So he worked for me in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And he was a good worker. That whole philosophy of doing things properly and not
Well,
fucking around.
I had my own food business for a while.
That's
as
right.
well. I think was it after
After.
you? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I think it was
Yeah.
after. But I've worked in the food industry for a while, and I don't know. I'm just a stickler for.
No, it's
you wanna
good.
get
Like
shit done and
you and Oki both work hard and don't fuck around. Do what needs to be done and get the job done and get out.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
unlike lab.
some other people just
His lap's like, was he?
Yeah.
not our lab.
Oh, different
one.
lap.
Yeah,
Because
different.
no,
lab.
lap seems like he'd have a good work ethic.
He's actually
Nah,
worked for me a couple of times
man,
too.
it was all really cool. Everyone there was, it was all good.
It was a
Like,
good- it was a good
great.
laugh.
Yeah, great.
I'm probably quite a good boss because it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Plus,
I think your your screening process of thou shalt like hip hop.
Is that
before
yeah.
and it was on
mandatory?
It was on
before
the
applying,
job
yeah.
description. that
Was
I
it
must-
really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's
was.
right. That's
Must
right.
like
Must
rap.
like gangster rap.
Yeah.
That's great.
On Gumtree.
Yeah,
That's
well,
cool.
Yeah.
I got-
Yeah, what are you going to do? Have people complaining about it? Yeah. Fuck
Yeah,
that.
well, they wouldn't work well.
No, that's
Yeah.
right.
And Jim Jeffries,
Oh, yeah.
Is that a comic?
I tell you who.
a comedian.
I
He's
tell you
great.
who you should never have employed was that Indian guy. What was his name again?
Which Indian guy?
Sorry,
Saba?
it sounded with like an A.
Andy.
Andy. That's the one. Love you, bro.
That's funny.
Speaking of work ethic,
Hey, do
Oh, he's a warrior.
bro,
Yeah.
like,
you know Andy's become a father?
I
really?
didn't know that.
He's got a little girl.
Oh,
cool.
really?
September she was born. She's
Oh,
like
congratulations,
cool.
brother.
she's like 4 or 5 weeks
Awesome,
old.
dude.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Man,
Zuri, I think her name is something like that.
that is someone who like inspires me to
Yeah,
go
man.
fucking ham in the gym. Like he's
Yeah.
he's someone like, like not like going to be a top bodybuilder or
No, but
athlete
just-
or anything, and never going to be super strong or anything.
Yeah.
But like I don't care about any of that stuff.
No,
I
yeah.
just if I see someone in the gym who I can
Just
clearly
puts in
see
work.
is giving every
Yeah, yeah,
single bit that he's got,
And mine.
I'm like, man, I'm like that.
Man,
Fucking hats off to you.
his,
Myron.
You know his story.
Get ripped or die Myron.
You know his story though, like about like because he lost his brother, right? You know this.
No, I didn't know
Okay,
that.
so
Fuck.
when he first came to City Gym with all his Indian mates, he was the fuck up of the group, right?
Right.
He used to drink all the time, party and that, and he was this chubby little Andy. right?
Actually, this is flowing back to me.
Yeah, and so and then he heard that his brother was stabbed in a gang fight.
You know that was stabbed by another relative.
Yeah, right.
Cousin.
I didn't know that.
Like a maybe second cousin or
Right.
something.
So he went back to India and buried his brother, and he's like, I'm not going to fuck my life up.
Yeah.
And he came back, and that's when he got ready for. I prepped him for that comp, and
Yeah.
like, man, I've got a lot of respect for that guy.
Yeah, man.
Because he was before that he was a fuck up, and he stepped up and. And it was the same with he does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now. He's like ears
Yeah,
all
yeah.
cauliflower.
Yeah,
And I know people that Joe Giuseppe, what's his name?
Stremendoli.
Yes.
Stravandoli,
Yeah, yeah.
he's worked with him. And he said, and he doesn't take a backward step.
Yeah,
like
no.
he's like shorter than me, and he
Yeah.
he doesn't give a fuck.
Comes out swinging.
He's
hard.
competed a lot in
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu.
yeah, he's won
Does
trophies.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
right. Doesn't
That's-
surprise
yeah,
me.
man.
Yeah.
And he did the same with the comp. with the competition as well. And it's like he just went for it.
Man, there's a
good to
lot
see.
of really cool legendary stories that have come out of City Gym. One of the
yeah,
most
man.
recent ones that sticks out to me, like dog's balls, is Nick Ockey. Like,
Yeah,
talk
man.
about someone who's fucking
Actually-
turned the Titanic around.
Actually, Nick,
Unbelievable.
Nick is an upcoming guest
Yeah,
on our
Oh,
Nick,
of course,
Nick and
naturally.
Marcelo, yeah.
Unquestionably.
Yeah, like I mean, he squatted 350 the other day, and he's competing. We've got to get the dates. We should all go.
Yeah,
he's
fuck
he's
yeah.
in Karen Bar.
Yeah.
And like he's going to be a world champion.
Yeah, man.
Like, fucking no doubt,
Unbelievably.
man.
But, like, you know, not only from that, but just, like, his
Turning his
approach
life
to
around.
business and also
Yeah.
how he's helping people and
Yeah,
stuff, you know.
yeah.
Like, it's really, it's funny, you know, like, City Gym's always had a special place in my heart. It's always been such a like an iconic microcosm for all the eclectic groups of society
Absolutely,
where
for
all the
sure.
freaks are
Always
accepted.
been
like
that.
And I think that's one of the reasons why it had that downpour, you know, over the last sort of 3-4 years, where
Well, that
it
was
just,
being.
they lost their identity.
Well, they turned their back on that. They didn't
That's
want to
what I
be
mean.
that.
They didn't
had
accept
people
themselves.
influencing them. They would say, no, we shouldn't be this.
Yeah, we should play fitness first game. And,
Yeah,
you know, being
it's
on-
never worked.
No, it never will at a gym like that. You've got to be proud. You've got to own yourself. You know,
Yes.
it's like, no, it's not no grunting. It's fucking wear your tea bags, train fucking hard,
Yes.
sweat everywhere,
Yeah.
swear, like pour blood when you run into the squat bar.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Fuck
own it.
yeah.
Own it.
My man, like Nick a couple of Saturdays ago, who's doing his deadlift, and he went up to, I don't know, some mid 300s or something, and there was a group of us standing around the
Yeah,
platform,
mad.
all like trainers,
Like it used to be.
all cheering and
Yes.
clapping.
Like
you
we
know?
used to
yeah.
do for you, Steve,
Yeah,
back in the
Yeah,
90s,
How good.
yeah,
early 2000s.
early 2000s.
How
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would be like that. People would
Yeah.
stop and
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Very
Back
cool.
when there was no aircon and those rubber
I fucking
floors.
loved
Remember
it,
those
man.
black
Yeah,
rubber
yeah,
floors?
yeah.
Man, they should maybe recall City Gym the Forge, because, you know, it's like that, you know, that old saying, like, diamonds are formed under immense pressure.
Yeah.
You know, and think about how many, like, even for me, like, coming to City Gym,
Oh.
I was going through a phase just before I came there where I was just working my ass off. I'm talking, like, 18, 20-hour days, like, at work. Yeah, and I'd still go to the gym and,
You are
still,
another
and still drink and smoke.
Success story /
Yeah.
legend of City Gym.
Yeah,
Like-
to a degree.
But you, like, back to your competing, back just for a second, you won an overall title at a competition as a junior,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? As a teenager.
Yeah.
He won overall, beating all
Yeah.
the open divisions.
Yeah.
Like,
And
that's
100% natural.
That's fucking
Yeah, well, I
insane.
take creatine.
Yeah, but you know, like I mean, because I get there's people that are competing all the time that are assisted, and fuck, it pisses me off. Must piss you off, or you just have acceptance about it.
Bro, it's...
Oh, he beats them anyway. Fuck him.
Yeah,
They can-
true.
Mate,
Yeah,
I've competed.
exactly.
I've competed in the IFBB
Yeah.
as a complete natural,
Yeah, yeah.
and I've won shows
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Actually, the first year that I competed there in the IFBB, and Ronnie Coleman himself handed me his
No
the
way.
trophy. Yeah.
Fuck.
Hey man, good on you. It's fucking cool, man. One of the highlights of my life.
Wow.
But yeah, it's,
I remember when he came out. I was
Yeah.
shooting a thing for Nick Jones. Nick Jones.
some gay
Nick
magazine.
Jones.
Oh.
Gym Tech. And Ronnie was there. Ronnie was
Yeah,
at the
right.
gym.
I remember, you know, at one stage you were considering going to the dark side.
Yeah.
And
Well, it
I
always
look-
crosses your mind.
for sure. And
Yeah.
I look back now and say, I'm so glad you didn't, man.
Yeah. Well, man, I just don't, like, for me, it's never really like, except for like considering it, but it's never really grabbed me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I look at the people who do train, who do take gear, and then, like, they're just
Don't train hard.
fucking, man, you're not even doing the basics right.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, you don't,
Well,
firstly,
still-
you don't train fucking hard,
Yeah.
and full stop. Like, that's
yeah,
it.
No.
You know? I don't-
Or even eat remotely like a bodybuilder.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, but you've got the fucking, I don't
But
know,
the
BHP brand
the
of salt all over you. and-
Unfortunately, you will get when you go on gear and train like that.
A shithead.
You will still get results. We
Yeah.
talked about it on previous
Yes.
podcasts. You look like crap, but you won't get
Yeah.
a complete physique.
Yeah.
But your traps, your shoulders,
Everything will just fill out.
Well, some of your arms, you know,
Chest.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
you know, something dawned on me the other day. I was actually like, you know what? I don't really want to be any bigger. I mean, I'm like 96, 97 kilos
Right,
rich.
good shape.
I've got lines in my glutes,
Yes.
like all the time.
Yeah.
So for me, I go, well, I'm 97 kilos. I've got lines in my glutes. I'm natural, and I still eat like a fat shit sometimes. Why would I get on gear? Firstly, I can't fucking afford it.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm like,
You don't want to be 120 kilos.
Not
What-
again.
what-
Fuck, not again.
What did you go up to?
120 kilos.
Did you really?
yeah.
I was, fuck, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. As a natural, like, yeah, it's just on the
I
fucking
remember you
seafood
with
diet.
I remember with the
See it and eat it.
the hoodie on the stepper for fucking 3 hours at a time.
Bro,
Just-
that was just the stuff that you saw me do.
Yeah.
That prep was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
The standard day would be, firstly, on the food front, 1,200 calories. And it would literally just be canned tuna
1,200
and
calories.
spinach. Tuna and spinach. That's it.
Gabriella dieted on more than that
Yeah.
when she competed. She was 50 kilos.
Yep. So there was that. I would do an hour of cardio in the morning. Then, have my oats and protein shake. And that was like the only carbs that I would have.
Yes.
And then I'd go to the gym. I'd train for an hour, hour and a half. Then do an hour of cardio afterwards. So there's 2 hours. And then I'd go home, usually sleep because I was fucking zombified. Then maybe do an hour of cardio before work. And then
Jesus.
after work, which at the time was just working part-time in a call center, hashtag fuck my life. And then after work, come and do another hour of cardio. So it'd be about 4 hours of cardio a day, plus an hour and a half of weights on 1,200 calories a day.
Yeah.
And I still got into shape and I still won shows, but I looked fucking emaciated.
Yeah.
And I was.
Yeah.
You know? But man, again, like you learn, hey.
But they're lessons, like you just said earlier, that you, once you've gone through something like that, when you have another challenge you like, and you go, oh, well, fuck, man,
Yeah.
I've done this. I can do this. I can
Yeah.
get through this.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people, just on the topic of mental health and
I
stuff.
can't even imagine how difficult that. I dropped
Oh.
16 kilos in 16 weeks, and that was hard enough.
Mate, I
Right
dropped
for one comp.
that 40 kilos, 12 weeks.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I used to go up to 110 and get down to like mid 80s. So whatever that is, 15 or something, 16 kilos, but nothing like that, man. That's You never did that again, did you?
No, man, I always stay within about 10 kilos of comp weight. Now, actually, and I attribute this a lot to fasting and just finding, the way of eating that works for me,
Yes.
that I love doing. It's improved stupidly easy to be lean.
Yeah.
Secondly, digestion is amazing, and thirdly, I've found it to be incredibly anabolic. I'm the biggest and the leanest I've ever been right now.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I'm not.
Doesn't it go against all the
Yeah,
traditional...
Every 3 hours.
Well,
Yeah.
that whole analogy of you don't put a massive log on the fire once a day, you put
correct.
small amounts on every
keep it
rack
burning.
to keep it burning. Well, you do exactly what they say you're not
Yeah,
supposed
exactly.
to do.
And that's the thing I love, right? I love going against the grain. And
Yeah.
as I said, I tested this in my last competition where I fasted. I trained at the end of the day. I'd have aminos and creatine, basic supplements before and after. And then afterwards I'd go and eat all my food. And not only that, but it was all keto-ish.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't eat, any starch or anything like that. I'd still do a massive
Would you
cheat day.
Would you do a carb
Yeah, like a cheat.
backload once a something? Once
Yeah.
what?
So I'd usually alternate every 2 weeks. I'd do like a hectic cheat day of 10,000 plus calories. When people say, you should do the 10,000 calorie challenge, I'm like, cute. That's real cute. I could do that in an hour.
Jesus
genuinely.
Christ.
It's really not that hard.
Well, I
I'm
was-
gonna
I mean-
fucking do it for my following.
I think one of the things I've noticed with guys that are successful in bodybuilding, or the really big guys, they eat really easily. They're able to consume a lot of calories.
Yeah.
And I think you see that with people that are, I don't know, like Midax used to eat a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of the big guys at the gym would just easily consume. I've always struggled eating a
I
lot.
remember seeing Luke Wood
Yeah.
when I used to work for Max's for a while, and I
Yeah.
think he was sponsored by them
He
or
was, yeah.
something. And we'd do promos at bodybuilding shows or at an expo, and he'd always be eating,
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
As soon as he finishes one meal, he starts the next one. Like
Yeah.
constantly
Yeah, I
eating.
think, I think there's just so much misinformation, as we all know out there, and people have it in their head that if you don't have amino acids in your bloodstream for 3 hours,
Immediately catabolic.
you're gonna die.
Yes.
The longest fast I've ever done is 4 days.
Really?
I've literally not had anything except for water and coffee
What, you're on a
for
bender
4
or
days.
something?
No. No. It was actually, I do this maybe 2 or 3 times in a year.
Okay.
Both from a health perspective and a spiritual one.
Ah.
Firstly, man, we're talking about doing fasting so that I can maintain lines on my ass, right?
Yeah.
There are people in the world who don't have the fucking choice.
No.
If they get a fucking grain of rice for
Yeah.
dinner, that's a good day for them.
Yeah.
So man, from the spiritual side of it, like fasting actually improves your relationship with food because you're so fucking hungry.
more.
Yeah, and you know, man, the other thing that kind of shits me about a lot of people in Western society is you have no perspective. And like me going living in Fiji last year was amazing because it gave me that perspective.
Right.
And it showed me that, like, man, just the fact that I can go to fucking Woolworths and get a $10 chicken that's already cooked, I can literally eat it right then and there. Like, fuck. What the fuck? Whereas in Fiji, it's like you go down to the supermarket. Oh, sorry, we don't have any chickens today. Why not? Oh, they just didn't come.
Just don't have any.
We just don't have any.
So you're
Sorry.
gonna catch your own chicken and cut its head off.
Cut its head off. You know,
Pluck it.
Yeah, not that I'd ever do that, but yeah, it's so.
Pluck. Pluck.
Good old plucking, eh?
We've reached the hour mark.
Hour 9.
Hour 9.
It's our longest.
Did you even
podcast
get
ever.
through any stuff that you
Covered
wanted to
everything.
get through?
Yeah, covered everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, we didn't have to itemize it. It just flowed.
It just flowed.
Cool.
Yeah,
But we've I think our longest podcast, we just touched 1 hour on one of them, didn't we?
Yes, yeah.
So you've got the world record.
Number 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't
And
say I'm
how can
surprised.
people follow you if they want to follow you on Instagram?
Mate, they can head on over to my page at the Fat Red. It's the_fat_red. Yeah. Although if you're dieting for the competition, I'd probably suggest you don't.
There is a whole heap of burgers on there.
And yeah, mostly burgers. Actually.
Mostly burgers.
Yeah. And a lot of talk of my sexual relationship with food.
Okay.
Essentially.
As I said, fasting improves your relationship.
Yes.
With food.
Yes. So look, check out the Fat Red.
Yep. I've also got a YouTube channel.
I'll watch your YouTube channel.
Subscribe here underneath. Subscribe to the push.
Like, subscribe, and comment. If
Yeah.
you have any questions for us, if you want to continue, just subscribe, hit us up. I'm
Closing
Steve
words.
Machine Curran.
The Push _ podcast. Kevin Big Daddy Ord, and we've
If you
got
wanna-
the Fat Red
If you want to email us, it's the push
podcast.
podcast 2018@gmail.com.
Yeah, like we checked that.
We should
I'm going
check
to start
that.
spamming you guys now.
Yeah.
Um,
Alright.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in,
Jordan,
guys.
love you, bro.
Thanks, man. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks, brother.
Well, good, man.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, as
Thanks,
always. Thanks, boys.